Hello chess friends! In this video we are going to talk about opposition. Opposition is very important in endgames, and we need to know what is opposition. Opposition is a position of the kings when kings are standing one in front of each other. On this diagram we have several different positions for kings, and not all of them are opposition. So opposition is only if we have odd number of squares between the kings. So on B file we have one square, and that is opposition. On E file we have three squares between the kings, that is also opposition. And on G file we have five squares between the kings, that is also opposition. On three other files we have even number of squares between the kings, 2, 4 or 6, and that is not opposition. If we have one square between the kings, that is called short or regular opposition. If we have 3 or 5 squares between the kings, that is called long or distant opposition. Beside short and long opposition, we also have diagonal opposition, but we are not going to talk about diagonal opposition in this video. There is another way how to discover do you have opposition or not. Just take a look on the color of the squares where the kings are posted at the moment. If both of the kings are staying on the same color, you have opposition. If one king stands on a light square and another on a dark, that is not opposition. Now we are going to see very practical example of opposition. One of the basic endgames in chess is king and the pawn versus king endgame, and we can apply rules about opposition in this position. It is very important who is on the move in this position, because whoever is on the move will lose opposition. Losing opposition means that you will lose the wanted result. So if white loses opposition here, he will lose the wanted result. The wanted result for him is to win, so the game will be drawn. If black is on the move in this position, he will lose his wanted result. His wanted result is to make draw, but he will lose that, which means that he's going to lose the game. Let us see first if in this position it is white on the move. White can try, for example, with king c4, but black simply plays king c6. And the plan for black is very simple. Just take the opposition if possible. And if opposition is not possible, just play in front of the pawn at the closest square possible to the pawn. Let's see how it works. King d4, king d6 because opposition is possible. King e4, king e6, d4. Now black is forced to lose opposition, but he will still have draw in this endgame, because when he plays at the closest square possible to the pawn king d6, it is impossible for white to take advantage of that and gain opposition. If black is not well experienced player, and instead of king d6 he plays very bad move king d7, look now how white is able to exploit that, gain opposition, and from now on white wins the game because black is losing opposition. So after king d6, d5, king d7, king e5, king e7 opposition, d6, king d7, king d5. Now white took opposition, but again he can't take advantage of that because the square between the kings is not empty. There is a pawn on d6, and that's why it is not win for white. So if opposition is not possible, and if we are not able to play very close to the pawn, we just play in front of the pawn king d8. It would be very big mistake again to play king e8, because white will gain opposition, and now white wins the game easily like this. So that's why king d8 is the best move, and let's say after king e5, just in front of the pawn, king d5, in front of the pawn, king c6, opposition, and after d7 and king d8 the position is drawn, because if king d6 we have the stalemate, and after any other move black easily captures the pawn on d7. Let us now see the same position but with black on the move. So if black is on the move, he will lose a position, and that means that he will lose the game. Let's say black is playing king c6. And now the strategy for winning the game for stronger side is completely different than for the weaker side. Constant gaining of opposition will not make any progress for white, because white needs to gain more space in order to advance the pawn and to win the game. So we see that constant gaining of opposition just goes back and forth and no progress. Instead of that, we gain space and play king e5. And after king d7, remember that, white will gain a position only at the pawn file, because that will provide him to take more space under his control. So after king d5, which is obvious move now, king e7, king c6. Now there are two options for black, to go back to d8 or to try to play king e6. Let's see how to win if king e6. d4, king e7, d5. If king goes now to e8, then king c7, and look now how king controls all remaining advancing squares for the pawn, and easy win. If after d5 black plays king d8, then king d6. King c8, king e7, and again the same. White king controls all remaining squares for the pawn, and white easily promotes and he wins the game. If after king c6 black plays king d8, now we came to the critical and the most important position to remember. The key move is king d6. Simply remember that once white king reaches 6th rank on the same file where the pawn is, at that moment white surely wins the game, no matter who is on the move, no matter where exactly black king is, and no matter where exactly white pawn is. This is an exception of the opposition rule, and that opposition rule is not valid for black if we get opposition on the last rank. Remember that. Now we simply advance the pawn, d5, and even if in this position it would be white on the move, that would be still win for white. In this position it is black on the move, and the win is very easy because we have the position which we already know, and white promotes and easily wins the game. If we have the situation on edge file, this position is drawn no matter who is on the move. All the rules about opposition have no influence to this position because white is not able to gain space. Simply, it's not possible to go to the other side because we are at the edge of the board. And let's say if white is on the move, black can simply keep his king in the corner and there is no chance for white to win this game. The game is simply drawn. So remember, when we have the position with the pawn on the edge file and the kings on the edge file as well, this opposition has no influence to the final result. The game is always drawn. That will be all about this video lesson about opposition. If you like this video, please click on like, share or subscribe to my channel for more videos.